Good evening, everybody. It's the old wolf here. And once again, we have the echo. All right, echo gone. Gotta love my cheeky witch sometimes.
I had it muted. I think it unmuted when I restarted it.
Yeah, it happens. But hey, we're back. Welcome to another episode of the Witch and Wolf Wisdom Podcast. It is Tuesday, November 1st. 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, coming at you live from Rochester, New York. Sister Chris, how you doing, hon? Great to see you. Been seeing a lot of you out there riding around in your little lives. They're very inspirational. For those of you who don't know, Chris Burns is a friend of ours from down south yonder. There's nothing else much north of us besides Ashley Hart.
Ashley's still north.
Yeah, actually still north, but we're pretty fucking far north. But yes, Chris is a fellow witch, friend of ours. You know what they say, she's a friend of ours. So when we talk about her like that, you know that she's got connections. She's a friend of ours.
She's got a witch and a wolf.
Yeah, well, she's also got a fat-ass clown. But he's the coolest clown around. Inside joke. As always, I like to start off with the expressions, opinions, everything pretty much you're going to hear is me and mine alone. Don't really have sponsors except in the context of everybody that supports us. So, yeah, you're not going to see any funky Disney or Apple and brother Jonathan. Hello from South as fuck, where we pronounce fire truck as fire truck.
Yeah.
Hey. You said it, I didn't. I'm just the messenger. So yeah, all the opinions and everything expressed are, mine, sometimes Shiya, sometimes yours. We try and keep an open format. We try and, to the best of our ability, keep it upbeat, but, sometimes shit goes sideways. Tonight's episode, The Many Faces of Death, which again, I think is, appropriate considering we just coming out of
Samhain, Halloween, and today is the Day of the Dead.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And it has a lot of cultural references and dynamics. Yes, in the Midwest, as Chris says. And I'm glad you're doing all right. I hope everybody's doing all right. Hope everybody had a great Halloween or however you choose to celebrate. We didn't have many kids out here. We did up the front. Those of you who were on Shiya's live last night saw that she was completely done up as the witch that she is. So we put some spider stuff and lights and this and that and made sure we had plenty of candy. But, Halloween, I think to some degree, especially post-pandemic, is changing. Maybe it's just the times, things come and go in patterns. I know other people I saw, I think Ashley Hart had mentioned, they had over 100 kids.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just where you live. We had some kids and, my philosophy on it, it's about the magic. It's about creating memories. It's about honoring dynamics. Again, however you choose to look at it. So we always try and make it a point to do Halloween. Make sure there's candy. Make sure there's some spooky skeletons.
Scary
kind of stuff. And the kids that came up, they appreciate it. The parents that came up, they appreciate it. So we do what we can.
Even if you make magic for one child that night, and, the others enjoy it and have fun, but you make real magic for one child, that is something right there.
Absolutely.
And we did make some magic for a couple of kids there. So I feel like we missed
listen, it was fun. You know what I mean? Again, would have liked, my own expectations. I was hoping for more kids.
Mm-hmm.
But it is what it is, and again, this is not to criticize, but we were like one of only 2 houses, I think, on our street that even
On our street, yes.
attempted to do anything.
Across the way that was kind of on the other side of the block.
Yeah. So, in that framework as well, too, kids are smart. If they're going to go down the road and if they're going to do all that walking and stuff, they want some fucking candy.
Yep.
Okay? They just want what's coming to them. They just want their fair share. So, that also, too, I'm sure had to have a bit of an influence. And again, everybody has their reasons, for not participating. Me personally, I don't want to be that guy, so I'd rather be that house on the block that the kids know and that they remember that, hey, if nothing else, you're going to get some candy over here. Yep. So that's what we did. Now, again, as always, I like to talk about some of the people within our circle, within our community, friends, family, those that not only, support us, but support the overall community. And we'll start with our good friends. Da-da, da-da-da-da. Yes. Ha-ha. Uh-huh. Bobby and Sherry, Moonbeam.
Love them. Hey, they have a new store over in Corpus now.
Yes. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I mean, they still do their shows in the Corpus area and stuff like that. But, and of course, always available with stuff online. But they actually have a brick and mortar store in Corpus. So if you go on their website, it'll actually show you what their location is. But from the pictures I've seen, it looks awesome.
Yes, you can check them out on Instagram or Facebook. Really, again, we talk about this sometimes redundantly, but it does, I believe, it's important to keep mentioning it. They have real magic. They have real love, not only the dynamics of what they do, obviously, professionally, but who they are as people within a community, within the world we live in. So you're not just talking about somebody who's like, hey, buy this shit that I bought over here. No. They actually put intent, manifestation, magic, if you will, into the stuff they do. So I know Shiya wears a lot of the stuff.
Actually, most of my bracelets now are from them. So.
Hey, you heard it straight from the witch's mouth. What else can you say? But definitely, again, check them out. Moonbeams, Facebook and Instagram. As always, mention the witch and you get a discount off your first order. Yeah. And also, again, our good friend Suzanne with Mystical Moons. Again, not exactly the same type of stuff, but some similar stuff. But she deals a lot more with what I like to call the raw elements within, crystals and magic. There's a lot of beautiful stuff, don't get me wrong. But she really has an eye for this kind of stuff.
Well, really. And everything that comes into her shop/house, she cleanses and makes sure that it has good blessed energy in it. So you don't have to worry about, anybody else ever touching it and doing weird shit to it, because she cleanses it the second it comes into her house. She's like, whoosh.
And here's the other thing, and this applies to Bobby and Sherry and everybody within the circles that we deal with. Witchcraft and magic now all of a sudden is becoming popular. Everybody's like, I'm a witch. Okay, hey.
I sigh, but it's a good thing. It really is actually a good thing.
Fake a witch. I'm sorry. Did I say that?
You did, but you bring up a good point. You have some of these people who are we called somebody that we met along our journeys who was like, oh, I'm a witch. Let me have my boobs sticking up from here. What do they call that? And she's like, oh my God. It's like women, we mostly call it being double-breasted. And she was totally doing the double-breasted thing. Hey, Gary. And just had the pentagram right there in between these massive tracts of land. I was just going to say, she definitely has the drunken, sexual, here are my tits magic going. So, I mean, you can call that a glamour, I suppose.
Yes, you can. So, technically.
She was spending so much time trying to convince me.
But we'll talk about that later, because I don't want to associate that. I don't want to, because Suzanne's stuff is not that. And that was really the framework, the real context here. within mystical moons and obviously with moonbeams and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They're real people. They're not fake-a-witches, okay?
No, they're not.
And they're also doing this in a degree, and let's really be honest, and I think anybody who's ever been in a store or, been online, looking to buy stuff, a lot of people mark shit up ridiculously.
Yes, they do.
Suzanne doesn't do that. Bobby and Sherry don't do that. Yeah. So definitely check out Suzanne, Mystical Moons. You can go to facebook.com/mysticalmoonslive or www.mysticalmoons.com. And again, mention the witch and get a discount off your first order. Now again, and see, this worked out this time because my sister, Ashley, hello.
She's actually here to hear us.
We can talk about Heart's Creations. Jen, Gary, Liz, everybody here. Great to see you guys.
Welcome. We're back.
But we're going to talk about Ashley now.
Yeah.
So, cue spotlight.
Dun, dun, dun.
Ashley Hart, this is your life. Dream Catchers with Intention. We just got another one. And I'm going to let Shiya talk about that first before I do my spiel. So, tell us about the new one that we got.
Well, I really wanted a new dream catcher that was chakra based, but I wanted something different. And maybe I told Ashley Hart, I'm like, I want something different, the chakra based, and she came up with this design that was this really thick, heavy, beautiful wire done tree of life on, I think it was like a 12-inch round, and a smaller, like 3-inch round or small round below it with a crystal on it, and then the different chakra colors coming down in several different places on the side. And oh my God, the energy and the look and the feel of this thing, it's
a beautiful piece.
It is an amazing piece. And so I told Ashley, I'm like, I am so blown away by this and overwhelmed by how awesome this is and how awesome it feels, that if she wants to sell them, because she kind of custom did it, I'm like, if you want to copy that design and sell it, I'll do an attunement for anybody that you sell that to. So, it has Ashley's magic in it when you get it, and then I will help you attune to that dream catcher with the chakra energy and the tree of life energy, because let me tell you, the way she charged it with magic, it just, oh my God.
And
blown away.
Really, the fine points of detail, okay, let's, call a thing for what it is. Anybody can take a bunch of stuff together and slap it together half-ass and be like, hey, here you go. Ashley's not that person. No. All right, you can see.
The fucking magic.
Now, again, knowing her personally, I'll be the first one to admit, yeah, I'm a little bit emotionally compromised. So what? Fuck you. That's how it goes, okay? I believe in the dynamics of it, and I appreciate and respect those dynamics because we really need them. This is how we...
I'm emotionally compromised. I've gotten how many
save the world, if you will.
From Ashley Hart. I've gotten so many, and I've understood, her magic and loved it and stuff like that. And I had an expectation set based upon all the other stuff that I've gotten from her, that it's going to be awesome, it's going to be wonderful. And I pulled this thing out, and you can ask Wolf, I'm just like, oh my God.
Oh, listen, it resonated. It had vibration to it.
Batman.
But it's because of not only who she is, but what she does. You know what I mean? Because you can take anything, and yes, it has beauty in its, raw state. But when you combine elements of things, when you combine emotional dynamics, intent, manifestation, Shiya talks about it a lot, that's where your real magic is. So yes,
truth.
Dream Catchers with Intention, facebook.com/hearts, HARTS-creations. Now, Ashley Hart's the type of person you can reach out to her directly, and social media obviously is the best way at this particular time until we can hopefully convince her to get set up a little bit differently. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But here it is. For what these things go for within, standard market, you're getting 100 times the quality for a fraction of the price what these things get sold for on Etsy and all types of places.
I'm always telling her she doesn't charge enough.
Right. Now, again, all things being equal, I, again, respect that dynamic because it isn't just about the money for her.
No, she's not trying to get rich. She's just supporting her family.
She's doing what she does, but she's putting it out there also, again, in the simple context of helping people, because they do help in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
And what Shiya is talking about within that attunement, that's really powerful magic as well, too. So basically,
that's
long story short here.
Connecting you to the dream catcher so you can constantly get recharged by the wonderful magic that Ashley Hart has put into it.
Yes, and then what you'll do on the back end. So here it is. Catch up to Ashley Hart. Find her on the social media. Get a dream catcher, and any dream catchers that you get through.
Not any. It's just that.
Oh, just that one.
Just that one.
Just that one. If you
chakra one.
You do the special chakra one, Shiya will attune it free of charge.
Yes.
Okay. So just again, is our way of giving back, saying, "Hey, listen."
The person, not the catcher. The catcher is so magic.
You'll have to deal with it with the witches. I'm just a fucking old wolf. What do I know? So yeah, check them out. You can either, through Shiya or through Ashley. Okay? Either way, definitely, because I'm telling you, magic is becoming popular. People are waking up. They're realizing that, this stuff isn't, the fucking underground, blah, blah, blah.
Suzanne!
So, this is the type of thing. It's like getting an Andy Warhol before he becomes Andy Warhol. Yeah. Get it now while you can.
Get it now.
Get it done. So, yes.
But wait, there's more. No.
There's no more.
Oh, actually, yes, there is more.
What?
Because their first order, aside from this special
you get a discount off of it.
You get 20% off of your first order with Ashley Hart if you mention the witch or the wolf.
Right. Now, again, 2 witches for the price of 1. I don't know what better deal you're going to get out there. Now, granted, full disclosure, I'm not guaranteeing shit. Listen, I have enough time dealing with 1 witch, let alone these 2 witches. Y'all on your fucking own, okay? Okay, so just remember, you're dealing with witches. So don't try and pull any of that, weird internet type of shit. I'll tell you now, if you send Ashley a dick pic, you won't have a dick when it's all over. Just saying. You
know what's funny? Is that great meme you see on the internet sometimes. Oh, you don't believe in witchcraft? Or you meet somebody who doesn't believe in witchcraft? Just ask them for a piece of their hair. See how quickly they believe then.
And my sister Suzanne.
Yes. Hello, Suzanne. We've missed you.
Yes, the Beaver Queen. The Beaver Queen has arrived. I was joking a shot. That's kind of half and half. That's part costume, but it's also part of just her witchy nature. Yeah,
I actually did put on a wig and use the Winnie costume, but the cloak and the hat I definitely am keeping for regular wear.
They're reflective of her personality, and it's also going to, and we'll throw this out just real quick as a tease before we get to my brother Tony, who's one of the, the other people. But I want to give him his own little thing, and Suzanne dropped in, so I get distracted.
Squirrel.
Well, yeah, squirrel.
Beaver.
Oh yeah. Well, listen, when the Beaver Queen shows up, it's just
Beaver.
Got to take advantage of that moment. She'll be back off into the shadows. You won't see her again. But in fairness, she got a lot of stuff that she's doing. She's active. Again, another beautiful person with a beautiful heart.
We love you, Suzanne.
I don't want to be that guy and say you have a beautiful beaver, but that's what people say. So I just had to go there.
Is it vanilla or raspberry?
I don't know. And I'll probably never find out.
So there you go.
Yeah, someone will have to, you're going to have to get somebody to come in here and testify to that.
Yeah, whether it's vanilla or raspberry. Minds want to know.
But yeah, you know what I mean? They're the little dynamics within, people and magic that you have. Yeah, no, listen, we seriously debated just dropping in on you when we were coming across the country. You know what I mean? It came close. You know what I mean? It was
yeah, we thought about it. And it's like, oh man, it just be.
I didn't want to get you fired. You know what I mean? I would have come in there doing one of my insane routines, and somebody probably would have gone to jail, or who knows. So we wanted to spare you that. But especially when we were in New Orleans, let me tell you, you got to come to us. You got New Orleans
my
was
God.
just
New
fucking
Orleans.
incredible.
Show that picture of you again in New Orleans.
All right, fine.
Show it. I love it.
I like finding the grimmer dynamics.
The grittier.
You know what I mean?
Look at that.
And I just found
That's
this.
Wolf and Nola.
I just found this little corner, thing. I was like, ooh, this is, and it had power. There was something about this spot. I don't know what's behind this door. It could be a whole nother magical universe, but let me tell you, there was something. So yes, we will definitely make that a point. Definitely for next year.
Can.
Yeah,
I think
listen,
it'd be fun
we thought about it.
Place together, that we stayed at.
Right, but this was one of those times, for lack of a better way to put it. For those of you who don't know, we went out. Primary purpose of the trip was to go to Texas, spend time with Shiya's mother. Shiya's mother is going through chemo treatments. Obviously, the dynamic.
Having breast cancer, and so far doing a damn good job.
Doing a real good job, but it's tough. It's not easy. So we kept it pinpointed. We went there. We spent time with the family. It was beautiful. It was great. It was magical. And then we took a couple days to kind of reset for just the two of us in New Orleans. Went down to the French Quarter, did the French market. A lot of stories to tell. I'm going to be telling some of them on future podcasts coming up over the next month or two. We met some incredible people. They'll be part of a podcast. I'm not going to spoil any more, but we met an incredible witch. And I'm going to call her a witch because
I think she would call herself
a priestess.
Yes.
Yes. Incredibly powerful, incredibly beautiful. But these are stories for a later date. So, yes, New Orleans, very magical. Faces of Death. That shirt is one of my performing shirts. It is a take on Marilyn Monroe, half alive, half death. And the framework of tonight, but before I get to that, my brother Tony, Faces of Death. Well, Tony also created for the foundation the Tully half.
Yeah, the half and half
skull, you know what I mean? Because I believe that, how we perceive a thing is usually how we relate to it. Mm-hmm. But, again, I jump ahead of myself because my brother Tony.
We gotta talk about Tony.
Gotta talk about Tony.
Let me tell you, I need more tattoos.
Yes, I want more tattoos.
I was talking about that yesterday.
But more specifically,
I need more Tony tattoos.
The thing that Tony's pushing on right now, granted, hey, if you want to go down to Atlantic Highlands, New Jersey and get a tattoo,
highly recommend.
Absolutely.
Highly
world-renowned tattoo artist.
Amazing
Best pricing you're going to get for the type of artwork. He's got great artists in his shop. If you want to do something that's less expensive, to be absolutely honest, not everybody has or wants to spend X amount of dollars. So, he has a lot of different... as Ashley had said, she wants people from all different walks to be able to have access to this. So, that is a really noble and humble dynamic. Tony is very much that way. He understands that not everybody can afford certain dynamics, but he still wants to bring that magic and artwork to people as best as he can. So, and he's got the band Broken Pass. You can check them out at www.brokenpassnewjersey.com. I featured them on this podcast. They're a great bunch of guys, great musicians. But the thing that Tony's really pushing on right now, especially going into the winter, is the Papo
Sticker Company.
Papo Sticker Company. PAPO stickercompany.com. Long story short, Tony can take anything that you can imagine graphically, ideal-wise, and create it into anything you could imagine. Coffee mug, turn it into a t-shirt, a scarf, a dildo, whatever works for you, okay? Literally, Tony's created his own fucking rolling papers.
Can I just say something about Tony?
Please, by all means.
I want to say that when you support Tony, be it through Broken Pass, the Under My Skin Tattoo Studio, or Papo Sticker Company, you're not supporting corporate dollars, corporate greed, anything. You are supporting a man who has with the help of his friends, self-made, worked his ass off, been a single father to an autistic son, and is genuinely a philanthropist and a dude that has the Under My Skin for Life Foundation to helping people in times of need. He gives back to the community.
He doesn't burn the candle from both ends. He just burns the fucking candle.
I know, honey. He has a bonfire. You fucking that man's a bonfire.
But again,
you're supporting
he has real magic.
Real.
Right.
And somebody who's not just doing for him and his family, but giving back to the community too. But I gotta say, the man's amazing.
In spirit of creation, he has real magic, not only in his artwork,
absolutely,
but in translating these dynamics for other people. And again, it can be literally anything you imagine. You know, I know people who've done car wraps through Tony because he has the technology and the ability to create these big, huge decal things that you can literally just stick over your car if that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
You know, and again, it could be something simpler in the dynamic. He has an embroidery machine where he could literally, you know, create designs or names. The printing aspects, we've featured them, you know, hoodies and T-shirts, pretty much anything you can imagine. And again, a lot cheaper than you're going to find any of these places that do customized type of work. So check them out. www.papostickercompany.com. Again, that's www.papostickercompany.com. Tell him the wolf sent you. He'll take care of you. All right, so let's get back to death.
Death.
The many faces.
The Day of the Dead.
Now, obviously, with today being what it is.
Dios de los Muertos.
Yes. Cultures, since the beginning of time, have their translation, their variation, their perceptions, call it what you will. But within the world as it stands now, or at least within Western culture, this is the framework, really, for what we call Halloween, or
the Day of the Dead, or Samhain.
There we go.
But Dios de los Muertos is actually today.
Right, but they have, just like a lot of other things, they have been co-opted and kind of wrapped into, you know, the popular elements, kind of like, you know, pagan dynamics within Easter and Christmas. This is just, you know, kind of how the human race works. But
what's interesting, though, is all the framework about this in this time of year is that it is taking the mask off of death, so to speak, and having us take a moment to realize that death is a part of life's cycle.
Well, not only that, and I wanted to take a little bit different take. Those of you who know me know I try to frame things in more practical terms, in ways that hopefully not only make more sense, but actually can be used, applied, versus lofty ideas or the dead parrot context where, well, it's a fucking dead parrot. What are you going to do with it? And I have come, and we'll call it my belief, that death is reflective of each of us. It wears many, many, many faces, and it has throughout history. And again, you know, some of this, you know, again, the Egyptians within the Book of Dead had their own variations within, you know, gods and the separation between mortals and everything else. And these things have shifted, obviously, throughout the years.
The funerary rites of the Egyptians are amazing.
So you'll see different incarnations and things, and many times it is celebrated within, you know, the context of hope and memory, love. Yeah. But obviously there are the darker elements of it. And again, every religion has its dynamics throughout time. But there's certain little things, and we'll call them the speed bumps in the road of history that have now become, dare I say, pop culture in many ways. Death has now taken on so many variables of forms that influence really does influence a lot of how people perceive it. My buddy Jack, the Pumpkin King, is a beloved animated character from the mind of Tim Burton, but he's death. Okay? Make no fucking mistake. Now, again,
if you look at things anthropologically, you can track the development of society from each different society's funerary rites and how they treat death.
And they carry over. They carry over in many different aspects. Now, you know, some of it has taken on the aspects comedically. Anybody who has kids or within the time frame, if you watched some of the cartoons, The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. Grim, obviously, the fucking Grim Reaper, was more of a comedic character against these two other little idiot fucking children.
I love Mandy. I just love Mandy. She's awesome.
But we have taken death and, you know, we have commercialized it to many degrees. You know what I mean? And some of this, you know, again, we can see historically. This is a famous painting from 1851. And you can see, you know, death in his
fiddle.
Yes, yes. But those imageries, again, have been passed on. Here's your classic Grim Reaper with his scythe and his skeletal hands. Ooh, you know what I mean? And those aspects are also reflective within religion. The angel of death within Catholic Christian lore was a creature of beauty, was an angel.
Actually, in many aspects, St. Michael, the Archangel Michael, is considered the Archangel of Death.
Right, and there are variations that have, you know, obviously shifted throughout. You can see here another old Middle Eastern kind of, you know, variation on the skeletal figure, but with the wings. You know what I mean? So you can see the variations, again, the wings, the scythe. So, you know, again, a little bit more of your, you know, classic analogy. And, you know, again, the Romans, you know, within their funeral rites, embraced many of these dynamics with the Greeks and the Egyptians stuff and set the stage for a lot of this. But again, it continued to shift, and, you know, we now have erotic death, the lady death.
Oh, man.
Ooh.
Awesome comics. By the way, if you ever have a chance to read these, they're pretty cool.
But again, in this dynamic, okay, death, you know what I mean? I mean, listen, you look at that image, you know what I mean? And, you know,
I mean,
that doesn't scare me.
I am ready to embrace death.
I think a lot of teenage boys and probably teenage girls will be like, yeah, I'll eat that ass.
Could I use that for my celebrity hall pass?
Yeah, no, listen, if you really, you know, feel the need, you got to do what you got to do. To such a degree that this actually, and this is a real thing, Playboy actually ran this as Playmate of the Year. That is to the degree that we have come culturally now, that death is now reflective of so many different levels that depending upon who you're talking to, you're going to get a completely different version.
Well,
Okay.
you have some people that romanticize death to remove the fear of it.
Well, I mean, again, there are many analogies, not only historically, but within literature. Obviously, now media has changed to the degree that, there's not much you can't do as far as creating visually any type of dynamic that you want. And I use the sexuality part because I think it's a really easy one to kind of throw up there and say, this is the other end of the spectrum where now elements of death have been created within erotic framework, within sexual framework. And a lot of people, and this is not a criticism or a judgment or anything, embrace that dynamic. Pain. A lot of people get off on pain. It is reflective.
Hurt me.
Oh boy. Of that dynamic.
Sticks and stones may break my bones, but whips.
I'm not just throwing this out there to be like, hey, here's some cheap death porn for you to slobber over. No, there's actually a correlation here. Death, in my opinion, in my experience, is reflective of an emotional variable of the people in question. So, in any given point in time, in any given point in place, in any given person, you're going to, again, get a different reflective take. Many times, death is incredibly painful. It's tragic. It's traumatic. People cry. They weep. They mourn.
Yeah.
But sometimes, and I can say this openly and honestly, sometimes we're happy that death has shown up. That motherfucker's finally dead. Oh, thank the gods. Now, again, this is not a moral context, but I'm betting that there are a few people out there that can relate to that dynamic.
Never.
Well, we're going to call it for what it is, as you like to say. I'm not blowing any kind of sparkly fucking bullshit, because truth is truth.
Oh, wait.
Now, again.
Or the way my sister put it earlier, you're not tickling anybody's asshole with a feather.
No, I don't roll that way.
She said that to me earlier.
Thanks for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Sherry, what the fuck are you doing?
That is my sister for you, because she was telling somebody that I don't pull any punches. She's like, she ain't gonna tickle your asshole with a feather. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, no, the wolves don't roll that particular way. But again, the emotional context, and this we see happen within the human equation, the human experience, time and time again. Things are reflective of the emotional content. Mm-hmm. So, yes, sometimes it's traumatic, it's ugly, it's painful, it's scary. Sometimes it's erotic and sexy and like, whoa.
Baby.
And sometimes it's like, yeah, thank you.
Now,
that's not death's fault. And then however you choose to frame death, obviously, is personal. It is not a right or wrong. People will react differently. So, and I'll just use the analogy, when, somebody who's been a scumbag their whole life and have done nothing more but hurt and abuse people, finally fucking in the ground, and we're out there, ding dong, the witch is dead. And somebody may walk up and, taking it out of context, be, well, that's kind of fucked up. Why are you celebrating this? Well, because they were a shitty person. That's my take. I'm not telling you have to feel that way. I understand, and I'll even respect the dynamic that maybe it offends you. My point wasn't to offend, but it is an important lesson in being able to live.
Yep.
And it's been framed in many different ways, but how we approach death is important and, again, reflective of how we live our life. AKA, when we dance behind illusions and fear, we tend to, like it or not, be influenced. We're steered into places and directions that maybe we wouldn't necessarily go. And more importantly, maybe we don't need to go to.
I would postulate that without death, there is no meaning to life.
Well, it is one of those paradoxical dynamics that you can't have one without the other. And, perception being what it is, everybody's feelings, how everybody feels is relevant to them. Again, why it's not really a right or wrong, but it is important that the faces that we choose to put on things do reflect and influence how we now in turn are able to live. Now, that's not to say that, next time you go to a funeral, you should laugh like a fucking hyena in the middle of the service. There is strong cases to be made about context, situational things, decorum, whatever the case may be. So, don't take this and humbly, just go batshit with it. But you can laugh in your fucking head. You know what I mean? You can be respectful of other people's feelings, other people's perspective, their context, without giving up your own. But again, how we choose to perceive these things will change the dynamic of how we now live. And this has been looked at from, psychological context, from children, straight on down the line. These elements are reinforced. So when you have negative energy and you build upon that negative energy, it will create aspects of fear, anxiety, loathing, despair. And these are not good things. It doesn't mean that we don't care.
Yeah.
But they are fucking toxic by their very nature. And as Suzanne said, she doesn't do funerals anymore.
Look,
it's tough.
I loved my late husband dearly, but I did not hold a funeral for him because he would have not wanted one. He hated going to funerals. He didn't want a damn funeral, And funerals are for the living. Funerals, you honor the dead in the way that the dead would have liked to have been honored. But, funerals are for those of us who are left behind.
And conversely, I absolutely hated my wife. And when she died, I cried. Tears of joy. I literally danced a jig. Now, I can honestly say, all joking aside, that was based on years of insanity and bullshit. I wasn't happy in the context of what it did to our son. I wasn't happy about the context of how it reflected on other people. But for me personally, it was a blessing. Now, some people will say, that's fucking horrible. Yeah, you know what? Maybe it is. But I'm going to call it honestly, if nothing else, to at least not let it carry over any more than it did. And that really is sometimes the simple truth. How does it carry over into our lives?
Hey, Sheena and JoJo and Suzanne, no, we didn't do anything fancy for Day of the Dead today any more than we normally do, because in this household, we honor all cycles of life and have that represented on our altars at all times.
JoJo, I'm sorry to hear about your cousin. Listen, death, again, is one of those dynamics that is very personal. You know what I mean? And again, not so much as a right or wrong. We mourn the people that we love and that we care for, and that's a natural thing. But it's also reflective of a dynamic sometimes that people are what they are. So, death, again, will carry many faces. And it, again, sometimes we don't get the luxury. We don't get the option of, being able to, have a nice committee type of thing. Things happen, and then we have to deal with them in the moment. So it doesn't make a person wrong to react a particular way. I know people that have gone through elements of death, and they weren't able to process it in the moment. And it wasn't until many years later that they were actually able to deal with
I've seen that.
Whatever emotional context, be it grief or whatever, and that's just their way. It's reflective of their journey, and it's reflective of their emotional dynamic.
You were with me when I went to my adopted mother's grave. I didn't really, you saw me grieve initially when she died, but at that moment you saw that I truly processed it. And I believe you said it aptly, that since I was at her grave, there was a finality and a reality to it when I went to pay my respects. Right. And it hit me in a whole different way.
Now, like Suzanne, I try and avoid funerals for the simple dynamic that I am incredibly sensitive to people's energy. And funerals tend to have really dark, desperate, sad energies. And it's the same analogy why I don't like hanging out with fucking crowds of drunk people. Okay?
Yeah.
I don't like the energy. It's not that I don't care, and I pay my respects in my way that's reflective of how I feel. And I've gone to them, even though I didn't want to, because decorum says you have to do this, or you don't do that. Sometimes it's about supporting other people. Sometimes we have to remove our emotional dynamic to be supportive, to help others. I've done that before, even though I didn't want to be there. I knew other people would need the strength, the help, the support. Again, call it whatever you will. And Jojo, that's a great point. I try and look at it as well as death. They look at it as the gift of life. They are flip sides of the same coin.
Yes.
Now, that isn't to dismiss it or to take it for granted, because that is part of what now, as I was saying earlier, reflects on how we live. If you live or try to live within the gaze of the fear of death, you're not really living. You're dancing around it. You're hiding, at least in my humble opinion. So those dynamics really do influence our lives in many different ways. And it goes deeper, especially when the dynamics are deep. AKA, people go through it and they withdraw. They choose not to love. They choose not to connect with people.
For that fear of loss.
Right. And that's not life.
No.
It's an illusion. And it's really a place that nobody should be. I don't want anybody to feel that way. Now, granted, can't save everybody, can't save the world, quote unquote, but we can do our little parts. Now, again, context. I talk about it all the time. Context is, an important variable. Sometimes it's not the right time or place to make a joke. Well, not everything's going to be perfect, but we can learn. We can adapt. We can evolve. And also, especially now, when you look at how culture now has framed things, and I'll use an analogy. Somebody who went through this not long ago was looking at doing all the funeral stuff. And it's absolutely ridiculous. $30,000 for a coffin, $120,000 for a fucking burial plot. That's more than most people's homes. So, again, in certain situations, it's just like, really? Now, the Romans are just like, well, we're going to burn our dead. You know what I mean? They didn't really have a great system for dealing with the dead beside of that. And obviously in the time period, Vikings did the same thing. But, some of it was practicality and, obviously not allowing, aspects of disease to happen. But it was also framed within their culture. Now, again, the Egyptians entombed their, ruling class, their so-called deities. But the average man and woman did not get that type of treatment.
But every religion out there, and I dare anybody to prove me wrong on this, every religion out there is based on death.
Well, there's, again, it's the flip side of the coin.
Yeah, pick a religion and I'll tell you exactly how it's based on death.
Well, death is a part of it.
No, every religious belief is based around what happens when somebody dies.
But that is, again, just part of the framework.
But I would say it's a major part.
See, again, I would disagree, because
Okay.
life is what we experience in the moment, day to day.
Yes.
Sure, you want to have some understanding, some framework of it, if nothing else, just to not be, caught off guard, per se.
Man's relationship with the gods, in general, focuses on death. And all of the religious tenets around any belief system has to do with how you live your life affects what happens when you die. So man's relationship with the gods, with the land, with
I'll give you that.
features all around what's going to happen when I die. So how they live has to do with how they die and what happens after they die. Every religion has an aspect of this, from the ancient of ancients to the modern.
No, obviously. I don't agree, per se, that it's framed. The death part, I think, is more of a, this is why you should do this.
Yes.
Because we really don't know what the fuck is on the other side. Everybody's got an opinion. Everybody's got a perspective. You're going here, you're going there. You're going to hell, you're going to Valhalla. You're going up, but we don't know. And it is part of, I believe, human nature to, again, try and put a face on things that we don't understand. I talk about this analogy all the time. What was considered magic and witchcraft 200 years ago is fucking technology and science now.
Truth.
You know what I mean? And when you look at it in the bigger picture, it's really easy to see through history how those dynamics have built upon each other, not only within religion and philosophy, but obviously within the dynamics of what we now refer to as science or technology.
Yeah, Jojo, when we learn to understand death as just a transition, if we go just based on science, which is what the wolf was just talking about, science and technology, we realize that matter and energy cannot be created nor destroyed, then it is simply a transmutation of a different state.
That's one way to look at it, but also here's the flip side.
Yeah.
Obviously, within context, the dynamic of our relationship, our emotional content with a person is going to influence the face that death is going to wear. As a parent, Jojo, I mean, I have to say it, you know what I mean? I can't envision that. That's my fucking ultimate nightmare because of how I love my son. So losing a child, especially within the dynamic of that emotional bond, is something completely different than, somebody that, you knew over here on the job site, or, I hate to say it, a Robin Williams passing away. I loved him as a fucking comedian. I was sad when he died, but I didn't have the same type of emotional connection that I would with my son. You know what I mean? Or somebody, again, that I have a deeper involvement with. And again, that's just another analogy, another, tangent, if you will, within how death wears many, many, many faces, and they're all unique to us as individuals. JoJo's version is relevant to him because that's his experience. That's his reality. And nobody else's, is going to be reflective because it's unique to him, just as mine is to yours. So yeah, these are things, again, that will vary, that will shift. So we're going to take a break real quick. I'm going to pop out a video, and it is reflective a little bit of that aspect of death. And within religion, when I wrote it, Demons is about, the framework. And when my son and I, came up with the visual dynamic in using the anime stuff that we did, it is also reflective of that dance within life and death. So we're going to take a break real quick. We're going to bust out Demons, and then we'll be back for some more. So yeah, that was Demons, one of my tracks that I always like to throw out there, and it is reflective for me of not only some of the personal dynamics, but also reflective of my journey with my son, and in that interpretation, the things not only that I wanted him to understand, but that I didn't want him to have to go through in the same way. So again, within the context of tonight, within the aspects of death many times, as I said, influences how we live, how we choose to perceive it. And, you know, right or wrong, good or bad, indifferent or not, they are unique. But we can, and this is one of my recurring themes, we can frame these things and share them with each other, not only to expand our knowledge and perceptions, but to also help comfort, guide, support. Any number of positive, helpful analogies can come from the darkest of elements. This is one of, I think, the biggest misperceptions, and Shiya and I have talked about this a lot, that, you know, you start talking about, you know, dark stuff and people start losing their fucking minds. Oh, you know, fucking evil, you know what I mean? It's like, no.
If you do not have a shadow, it's because you're not standing in the light.
Right. And Diana, my sister, death can kill what's necessary and the attachments that were necessary to die. There are elements where this is absolutely true. It varies from situation to situation, person to person. You know, JoJo made the statement in regards when it's a child and only, 8 months old. That's tough. I cannot even imagine, and I won't even pretend how that trauma dynamic is. I know when my daughter was born, stillborn, it hurt a lot. But if I'm going to be honest, I had not bonded to any degree. I had not formed the deeper emotional connections, aka like I have with my son. And then, obviously in the context, 8 months is still, that's tough. That's real tough. And these are dynamics that we all, make no mistake, we all have to dance with to some degree or another. Even if you choose not to dance, you're still fucking dancing. You're just ignoring the truth of it. Which, okay, hey, listen, that's what works for some people. Don't get me wrong. I don't agree with it. I will try to speak out, AKA, if I'm watching you and you're about to step off the fucking cliff, I'm going to at least say, hey, maybe you don't want to go there. I'll offer my hand, say, hey. But if you choose, well, then you choose. So darkness is, again, it's a part of our fucking lives. You know what I mean? And we have to understand it. And that's also been reflective, again, going back to the earlier parts, why death has taken these new forms. I mean, again, and I'm going to put this back up here because I think this is really, again, reflective. This is not horrifying. This is not terrifying. Okay, this is not something that any quote-unquote, red-blooded American male is going to run away from, okay? They're going to crawl on their fucking hands and knees drooling to worship at that fucking altar. Now, that's, again, imagery, the power of visual dynamics to create, as I have said a few times, a face of death. Now, granted, this face has titties and a lot of other stuff to go with it, but make no mistake, it is a face that we have created to put on the elements to change that energy. So instead of, cowering in fear, we're dripping with lust. And again, a lot of people look at the darker elements within that. Sexual energy is just as powerful, if not more powerful, in certain contexts and certain situations, And Jen, yeah, I get it. Jen says she still has bad days since since Kenneth passed, her husband passed. You know what I mean? It is
we all do, Jen. We all do.
I think, again, it is reflective of, and I hate to say this, that's how you know it's real.
Yeah.
I mean, and I say this humbly as a person who I don't feel bad. I don't. I really don't. The only context that I feel bad in mine passing is the dynamic of how it carried over on our child. That's all.
You felt bad for him.
I felt bad for him. Right. Now, again,
it's extremely personal.
My experiences are different. Shiya and I have had the conversation because we have that in common. We've both lost our spouses, but she had a healthy, loving marriage. She actually cared, loved, you know what I mean? So that dynamic is different for me, who just went through years of torture and abuse and hell. Now, there was a part of me that loved her. Again, I say this flippantly because it's my way of dealing with it. But there were parts of me that loved her. Okay, I love the context of the child that we have. I love the context of the moments that I can still hold on to that are good. But again, if I'm going to be honest, from an overall context, the damage that was done, the experiences that not only I went through, and some of this also too, flip side reflective of, even though, yes, I felt bad for the dynamic of how it affected my son, I felt worse about the dynamic of what she was putting him through when he was alive. My sister Diana, yes, we can see your comments. I had mentioned earlier, I don't know, I guess maybe you didn't hear it, but I actually quoted one of the things that you said about how death can kill what's necessary, the attachments that were necessary to die. Not sure, maybe you got garbled, but yes, we see you, my sister.
Death is very personal to each person's individual perspective, and it always will be. If you get 100 people in a room and truly get them to describe how they view death, or even how they view the afterlife, you're going to get 100 different I don't care if they're all the same religion, you're still going to get 100 different descriptions of how they view death and how they view a potential afterlife, even if they're all the same belief set.
Now, me personally, I'm hoping, and this is why I switched it up, I'm not particularly a huge fan of the titty lady death type of dynamic.
I mean,
Shiya enjoys it, but I think it's more to kind of to just push my buttons.
No, I tap that.
But that's also reflecting me. You have to understand, it's all unique for me. I don't begrudge sexuality. I'm all for it. I just think that sometimes, to some degrees, it is out of focus, if not, dare I say, exploitive. I think it creates illusions, and I am absolutely dead set on the context that all the things, the negative things, that we have to deal with, for the most part, are fucking learned behavior. Racism is a learned behavior. Okay? Misogyny is a learned behavior. And learned behavior comes from, again, the input that we get. So me personally, I would rather have my buddy Jack here be the visualization
of death
for death than fucking Lady Death. Okay? That's just me personally. Now again, this is also a context for me as it reflects with younger people. So, experience, the path we walk, they do influence those elements. And I know Diana, she's been through it. It's been 7 years for her. And yeah, there are other elements, and that was kind of, part of what I was getting through is that, people can't handle the dynamics a lot of times of death, and it goes badly. As Diana says, people she knows who ended their lives, had children. Now those children are orphans. This is part of why having this conversation, and thank you, Diana, because Diana as always, she just came out and just like, here is the moral of the story.
Mic drop. Poof. But no, that is very true. And death, I've known people who haven't even gotten over the death of their parents. And it's been 20, 30 years. And the death of a parent is something that you ultimately eventually expect as they age. But it can impact people very badly and very horribly over long periods of time. But how each of us respond and react to death defines, in some ways, helps define us as who we are.
Now, I will say this up front. If the choices, if the options are, going down that horrible dark hole of despair where, you don't even want to fucking live, versus jerking off to Lady Death, have at it. Rub 100 of them out. You know what I mean? That's the lesser of the two evils. So even though, again, I, may not always be with the sexuality of it, if that is what works for you, please, by all means, embrace it. It is better than the other side of that coin. Now, Sister Suzanne says, and she's being honest, and I'm going to share this because, again, I can. If she hadn't connected with Shiya and started, working and communicating about these things, she had lost her husband, so she understands this analogy. She's been through it as well too. We lose ourselves because the emotional dynamic of loss, when we have those connections, they damage us, they hurt us, they change us. But again,
I'm glad my journey inspired you, though, Suzanne.
And we're really glad, and I know there are a lot of people in your world that are more glad that you're here with us. Because again, ultimately, life is about living. It doesn't mean we don't care. It doesn't mean we don't feel. You know what I mean? But we do have to have the conversations. We do have to look at it. We have to, as I said, dance within it. Diana makes a great point, and I've heard this and I've seen this dynamic. She was told by other widows who don't have children say things like, at least you have a child. That made you have to get your shit together. I think it's everyone's mission to get our shit together, kids or no kids. Great point.
I didn't have kids with Mike, and I had to get my shit together.
But again, in the same analogy, if that's what it takes for you to get your shit together, at least you get your shit together. See, that's where what used to be referred to as the middle ground. Ooh, trigger words. Middle ground. Middle ground. Middle ground, okay?
Is that a thing?
It's not going to be the same for everybody, okay? It can't, because we're not all the same. You know what I mean? Again, it isn't rocket science. It's just like, okay, our experiences are unique. Our perceptions, our feelings are unique. We all can relate to pain. We can relate to love. We can relate to the baselines. But the fine point details, again, if you're not there and if you haven't gone through it, there's no way you can intellectualize it, but you're not going to get it, okay? And the best analogy, and I use this one a lot, and ladies, I'm sure you'll appreciate it. As men, we can intellectualize and relate to the concept of giving birth, labor, However, there's not a man alive that's gone through that. So, by default, I cannot relate to it in the same way because I haven't experienced it. It's like trying to have a conversation with somebody who's never had chocolate ice cream or chocolate and trying to, again, relate to the concept, what does chocolate taste like? Until you've experienced a thing, you really can't relate to it. Again, you can intellectualize it. You can understand it. You can even empathize with it. Yeah, well, that looks like it really fucking sucks. But I've never had anything crawl out of my vagina. As such, I have nothing to say about that. And that was my sly little way of throwing my little particular, hey, men, we should not me telling women what to do with their fucking bodies. Okay, again, not
Amen,
rocket
Priestess,
science.
my love.
However, and I say this to all my, we'll just say all my friends on the other side of the aisle. If you want to go out and you want to get yourself a vagina and you want to cut your dick off, then I might listen to you. Okay? And that's my challenge to every man out there that seems to have an opinion about what women should do with their bodies. Cut your shit off, get a vagina, then come back and we can talk.
Actually, I want to take it one step further.
Oh, shit.
Get a uterus.
Well, see, I don't know that that's actually biologically possible.
It's not.
You can get the vagina part. We know.
I know, but I also know somebody whose opinions I wouldn't want to go by who did that. So I would basically say, yes, the scientifically impossible. Get a uterus, then I'll listen to you.
Well, listen, I will. Yeah, I mean, here it comes. Get a fucking period. Yeah, no,
Yes.
that's why I am perfectly okay with the fact with women deciding what you want to do.
Amen.
It's not my business. I don't want to go here. Really, I don't. I love you. Okay, I truly do. I love you all. Some of you I love more than others, and some of you I love half as much as you should be.
There you go.
Bilbo.
Bobo. I love it.
And again, you know, but this is a great analogy, I feel, for context. Until you've gone through a thing, how can you really, with a straight face, say that you understand or that you have, you know, something, you know, again, I suppose if you're a medical doctor that spent years studying, you might have at least a little bit more, I guess, validity and input. But I'm sorry, if you don't have a vagina, you have nothing to say. End of story. Yeah, Diana's like, she wants to make them alien, implant them a person inside a something, then tell them it will be birth regardless of how they feel. Yeah, we need to get you together with Ridley Scott. I see a new chapter of Alien. And I think it would be a hit.
I think it would be great.
Xenomorphs come down, lay their eggs in Congress, and then we see what will be birthed with this new evolution.
Yeah, speaking
fucking terrifying to me.
Speaking of this, please make sure that you make your opinions known this midterms, guys.
Yeah, get out there, vote. Tuesday. Whatever your context is, get out there and vote. I'm not going to preach and tell you should vote one way or another, but
if you have an opinion, make it known. I
would humbly just suggest, okay, don't just believe what you see on the TV. Don't just believe what you see on Facebook, okay?
Research.
Look inside yourself. Ask yourself, really? Really? Is this the kind of shit that we need to be contending with? Yeah. Now, to my sister Diana, through the pee-pee hole, while it is cute, really, again, I don't think is going to have the same impact as some good old-fashioned prison rape. Right up the dirt highway, fucking no lube. That's how you make an impression. I'm just saying. So, here's a little quip from Sister Suzanne, the Viva Queen, and I will just quote and speak. When I was in labor with my second daughter, the male nurse told me, "Oh, I know it. It's going to be okay." I snapped at him like a demon-possessed crazy person and told him, "How the fuck do you know? You ever had one?" And the obvious answer would be, no. But then listen, again, context, as a male nurse, she's just trying to keep you from losing your fucking shit. So he's going to blow smoke up your ass until the end of time, if that's what it takes to prevent you from, you know, flipping the fuck out. You know what I mean? You're having a child. So, you know, in this context, lesser of two evils. He knows. I mean, again, listen, as soon as he put the skirt on, put the nurse tag on, he's a bitch. That is what it is. No. Let's call it for what it is. I give guys like that credit. They know it. They know what they're walking into. Okay? They don't care. They've got courage. They're there to help. Now, granted, and I'm sure again, and then Suzanne says, yeah, you never spoke another word. You know, sometimes, okay, then we realize that, yeah, it's probably better not to say anything. I've had plenty of those moments, and as most people are, if they don't already know, I don't have a whole lot of filter.
I think the main thing is if you don't really understand what somebody's going through, don't say you truly understand or that you know. Just simply say, I'm here for you. How can I help?
Again, you can't blame a guy. You try to do what you do. See, now again, Suzanne, as because I love you, I'm going to give you the alternate reality, okay, of what that could have been. If I had been there, okay, I would have been like, holy shit, there's something coming out of you. I don't know. I don't know if this is human. This is way, way too much. I would have started panicking. Baby. I would have been sweating. You would have lost your fucking mind. You would have been like, who is this fucking idiot? How the fuck did he get in here? And you would have never.
Is it the Antichrist? Is it an alien? Who knows?
Like, oh my God. What the fuck? Holy shit.
Tune in next week for Wolf's Hospital.
Yes. Yeah. You definitely don't want me there.
Oh, Jesus. That's scary, man. So
Diana shares, it's like a childless female pediatrician who gave Diana shit for stopping breastfeeding her son. Now, I will quote Diana, I suddenly cut her another asshole right where she stood. I'm certain I'm the last person she ever criticized for stopping breastfeeding.
Go you.
See, I would have paid real money just to see that, just to be the fucking fly on the wall.
Yeah.
To me, that's real comedy. That's epic. You can't make that shit up. Yeah, listen, sometimes it happens fast. I don't have a real framework. I was there when my son was born.
How did it go from death to birth?
And the context with my son, because of the way certain things played out, he got taken in and he was born via C-section. So I was spared, I guess, some of the joy or the horror, however you want to
all of the above
frame, this dynamic. But again, it's unique. It's a context that is unique to women.
Yes.
And I don't say that to, again, disparage against people who identify or choose to live otherwise. Biology is just biology. Doesn't mean you can't live that way. Huh?
How did we go from death to birth?
Because, listen.
We're like the mini phase of death.
I saw what they did. I saw what they did to my friend Dave Chappelle, and I don't want to get canceled because somebody out there is like, you used the wrong pronoun. I'm trying. I really am. Okay, so I'm trying to find a balance between having an open conversation, but also acknowledging certain base types of things. But and again, just to get us back on track, death comes for us all. It doesn't matter if you identify as a rabbit or if you're full-on Caitlyn Jenner or you're just an old fucking wolf.
From the moment we are born, we begin dying.
Yes. But how we live is reflective within that. So, as we swing on past the birth canal, back to tonight's podcast.
For the Dios de los Muertos.
Or a beaver. Leave it to Suzanne to throw her beaver into the mix. We're just trying to get back on track, just trying to steer things.
By the way, very cool altar, Suzanne. Is that for Dios de los Muertos, or is that your normal altar?
Now, the equivalent analogy here, because I'm not even going to, I don't negotiate with pumpkin fuckers, okay? The analogy here is I'm getting ready, okay, we had a little bit of crowd interaction, a little bit of laughter, I'm getting ready to perform another song, and Sister Suzanne jumps on stage
and throws out her beaver.
And here's her beaver.
I mean, she's the beaver queen.
This is not how you do a show.
No,
okay?
it's a prerogative. As Beaver Queen.
This is how you run an orgy, but this is not how you do a show.
This is her right as the Beaver Queen.
Sorry, honey, you threw a curveball to me, and, I'm a Yankees fan. I was obliged to blast that one over the right field wall. I still love you, though.
It's a lovely Samhain altar there, Suzanne.
Yes, it was. Absolutely. Absolutely. So one of the things I want to throw up, because, again, anybody who's watching and paying attention is like, well, how do I get a title? You know what I mean? We got a Beaver Queen. I forgot. Diana didn't. Diana originally was the Ewok Queen, but didn't we rename her to the Angel of Death? I forget.
What was
I'm still caught up with everything else that's going on.
The freaking assassin in.
Oh yeah.
What's her name?
Jesus Christ!
It's all replaced with their constant. It was in Boba Fett. The assassin.
Oh yes.
What's her name? I can't think of it.
Jesus Christ, yeah. She's Queen of the Assassins. So I don't know. We got to figure that one out.
I still think she's the Ewok Queen. I told her the other day. She's like, I called her the Ewok Queen. She's like, didn't we change that?
Yes, we did, but we can never seem to agree and remember what the fuck we changed it to. So we're going to, I'm going to actually have to make it official and put it on the website. I'm going to have to create a meme and everything.
Ewok Queen. She is.
I don't think she wants to be. I'm going to be honest.
I think she thinks the Ewoks are too cute and cuddly.
Yes.
But they look...
Fennec Shed, there it is, yes.
But Ewoks only look cute and cuddly. They are vicious little fucks. Ewoks are vicious.
I'm not going to deny her. She just wants her fair share.
Okay,
she just wants what's coming to her.
I'll call her the Assassin Queen then.
She can be the Assassin Queen, okay. So, join the Wolfpack. Please, get in on this, You got something you want to... Yes, she doesn't like the Ewoks. See, I told you, she doesn't like it. She doesn't want it. She has renounced that title. Okay?
Well, she can be the Assassin Queen then.
Listen, here's the beauty. You can be whatever you want to be. Truly. Within reason, of course.
There you go.
So, we want your strange and obscure stories and experiences. Or... your grinds, or whatever the fuck it is. Any story idea, but then again, reason, okay? Within reason, and I'm not even going to go into the things that have not made it onto the show, but I appreciate people sending things in, okay? With that being said, just send us an email.
You could end up
to oldwolfmusic.com. wolf@oldmusic.com. It's just that easy. Just send an email. You want to come on and talk about it? Oh, even better. We have the technology. So if you want to come on and be a guest and have a conversation, okay, please send us an email, wolf@oldwolfmusic.com. There are a lot of stuff that's going to be coming down the pike. Another album, probably 2 albums are going to be in correlation being produced.
Yes.
Going to be bringing in some people, some new faces, some old faces. A lot of very exciting dynamics of things that we'll be talking about as we head through the fall into the winter, not only through here, but through Shiya's mentorship circle. Mm-hmm. And for those of you who don't know, that was one of the focal points. Okay.
Yes, come on the mentorship circle. Learn, commune, grow, shadow work. A lot of cool things that are coming.
Jen, I don't remember. I don't remember what we gave you either, but we'll have to start doing this officially so that way you all can have titles. You deserve them. Again, I believe that humor, laughter, is one of the best defenses against a lot of the uglier shit that's out there. And call it whatever you want. It changes from place to place, from person to person. But humor is magic. It can take even the worst scenarios and at least temper them slightly. It's not going to make it go away. All right. There's really no good joke about child molestation. Okay, if you see where I'm going, some things they're fucking horrible. All right.
I've got to go.
But you can take other things. I make the Father Flanagan jokes all the time. So I'm Father Flanagan. Come here, little boy. Let me teach you about gold. You know what I mean? And granted, yeah, it's cringy to some degrees, but I refuse to drown in other people's fucking bullshit.
Amen.
So we fight with the tools that we have. You know what I mean? Now, if Father Flanagan were here, I'd punch him in the fucking dick. But he's not. So all I can do is use comedy to make fun of him. And yes, there really is a Father Flanagan, okay? Okay, really is. Again, since the church already excommunicated me, fuck y'all. That does not mean that anybody who chooses to believe and has honest faith and spirituality, hey, I don't begrudge you that. You're entitled to that. I love you for that. My experiences, however, are different. Okay, so I don't have a lot of respect for the institutions, the hypocrisy, the bullshit. Okay? As far as I'm concerned, you fuck a child, that's it. Okay? God does not fucking have an exemption clause for child fuckers, despite what the Mormons may tell you. Whoops, did I say that out loud?
I think you did, but hey, I'll take that.
Yeah, that's just me. I'm obscene. You know, I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? But in fairness and honesty, I try to bring a dynamic to foster understanding, laughter, hope. Yeah, sometimes, you know, again, it'll go a little bit off to the side. And Jen, there it is. Thank you. To make somebody laugh when they haven't felt like laughing, that's
it.
That's magic. That's real magic. Okay, not that Harry Potter Leviosa. That's real magic. When you can, as what happened with us last night, and I will share this little story. Kids were all running around trick-or-treating. We didn't have many of them, but there were a couple of them. So a group of boys came running through, and there's nobody else on the street besides us giving out candy. So they went off running to try and find a fucking street where they can actually get some more candy. One of the kids, his phone flipped out of his pocket and just landed off on the side. A guy that we know, that's a friend of ours, named Daryl, a school bus driver. He came walking down from the other side of the street and found this phone. Didn't know who it was from. Didn't see the kids. And he came walking past our place, saw all the decorations and the lights and the fucking crazy witch on the porch cackling. So, of course, he had to come by and see what the fuck was going on. And he comes walking up, and we start talking. He's like, oh, by the way, yeah, I just found this phone. And he didn't know what to do. He didn't know how to unlock it, obviously.
Or even answer it.
Or even answer or do it. He just got this phone. Now, somebody's trying to call it. Obviously trying to find it, and he didn't know what to do. So Shiya got involved, was able to actually be able to answer the call. Long story short, the kid's mother came down, got the phone for the kid, is actually a neighbor of ours, lives down on the corner, and just in that simple little interaction between neighbors, was able to prevent a fucking Halloween tragedy and getting this kid's phone back so his fucking ass wouldn't get beat for losing his fucking phone, saved the day, brought some people together in community. That's real magic. Being in the right place at the right time, but also taking the initiative, making the effort when the opportunity presents it. Simple little things. The other day in Walmart, literally had 3 old ladies behind me, each of them with about 5 to 8 items in their basket. And I'm standing in line, and I got a bunch of stuff. You know, I've got things for, taking care of the lawn, and I got this, and, picked up some Halloween candy, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm thinking, and again, simple little thing. I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to let them go. I can't let one go and not let the others go. So I let all 3 of them go in front. They had less items than me. Let's just do the right thing. the looks on their faces, okay, me being the long hair, tattooed white guy, just made my day. They just were so completely caught off guard by just the simple act of, hey, go ahead, go in front. You got less items. Do what you got to do so you can get the hell out of here. That's magic.
It is.
You know what I mean? Granted, we can't always do it.
But my favorite Walmart magic moment has to be you putting your hands up to two old guys about to collide and yelling, "Stop!" And they did. And you stopped the collision right in that part.
Well, sometimes I got to do my Gandalf thing.
That was great.
Hey, Leah, great to see you. Thanks for stopping on by.
Hey, Leah.
Listen, again, sometimes we have to act in the moment. And granted, yeah, we come a little bit off script from the many faces of death. And Jen, I'm glad that Shiya's been able to help you when you've been having hard times. We help each other.
Yes, strength.
That's what we do. None of us are perfect. Shiya has her moments. I have my moments. She helps me. I help her. The monkey, you know, we all.
What are you talking about? Of course,
you know, fucking Suzanne shows up, throws her beaver into the mix. Diana comes down, assassinates somebody. Jen's gonna laugh, and then Leah shows up and it's like, hey, what the fuck's going on here? That's a good time to me.
Sounds like a perfect Tuesday night.
But
Tuesday.
In that framework, life can reflect that element. Death doesn't have to be something horrible. Granted, yes, it's going to have those dynamics. We don't want to lose the people that we care for, but it's inevitable. So I choose to cherish the moment. I choose to do what I can, where I can, actually make a difference to whatever degree I can. And not just sitting in here and talking on the podcast and stuff, but in everyday life, in the things that we do, going out, the people that we support, the people that support us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is, by its very definition, strength in numbers, which again is
part of the world, being a part of the community, sharing knowledge, sharing care, sometimes just listening.
So again, just because, and I know it and I can read it from Shiya. Yeah, you've been, as soon as I put these fucking Lady Death things up there.
Hey, she's hot.
Yeah. Shiya wants Lady Death.
Shiya wants Lady Death.
But listen, here's a better, again, for anybody that's struggling, okay? Your loved ones are eating Lady Death's ass. Does that help? I don't know. Did I go too far? Maybe. But if this is the worst that you have to contend with, maybe death isn't so bad. I don't know. I'm just saying, it's possible. Oh. You know what I mean? But listen again, conversely, and we're gonna spin it around. This to me could be hell. Okay. Anybody who's seen this fucking show, okay, if they make Death's life a fucking nightmare, okay, I'd rather be eating Death's ass than fucking dealing with Billy any day of the week.
Yeah, but Mandy's...
Yes,
cool.
Leah, we are eating ass now.
That is life as it stands.
But again, it's perception. Again, just with these couple of analogies, okay, you can see the spectrum between comedy and sexuality. Obviously, there's horror somewhere in between. But this is, again, reflective of the emotional content that we bring into it. You go into any fucking S&M dungeon, okay? From my personal context, that's fucking worse than fucking death. I don't want somebody crunching my nuts with fucking stiletto heels, beating me sideways in some supposed name of pleasure, but I don't begrudge anybody else. Hey, that's what gets you off. Cool. Enjoy it. Not hurting me, it's not hurting anybody else. But that's the insanity to some degrees, that everybody's going to look at it different. So when you can just accept that simple little dynamic that, hey, this is unique to me and everybody else, it's unique to them, we start to understand, and then we can start to tolerate dynamics of things. We can say, okay, I may not agree with this, I may not understand this, but it's based off of you. And again, as long as it isn't carrying over, okay, aka, I'm not coming to try and take your fucking guns, okay? But if you're a raving fucking lunatic with abuse and mental health issues, fuck you, you don't get one, okay? There's a difference. I don't want to tell women to do with their vagina. Unless they just want to show it to me, then that's fine too. But hey, that's neither here nor there. I have no context in that. Death? I've lived through things that, you know, in many ways, death is a fucking blessing. I tease my son all the time. I fuck with him. I do this little fucking skit thing from South Park. And it absolutely, it's a fucking trigger thing. It makes him absolutely horrible. I'm like, Billy, pull the plug. Come over here. Billy. God damn it, Billy. Pull the plug. It's basically...
I will just...
you know what I mean?
Stop it.
And I'll make jokes to him and be like, yes, you know, like I use like the Deadpool type of thing. It's like, when I die, I'm going to leave you a roadmap. And somewhere, the cure to cancer, $4 million and a pound a kilo will be your reward. So, and he hates it because he's not as comfortable as I am. You know what I mean? But it's my way of trying to be like, hey man, don't sweat this. You don't live in fear, okay?
Right.
We live as best we can, where we can, and how we choose. And sometimes some will say, and there's a case to be made, that certain situations, it doesn't really feel like we have a choice. Especially when we've lost somebody, again, that we really care for. And I would just, again, humbly submit, well, that's how you know it's real.
Yep.
Trust me when I say, if you don't have an emotional context to it, you don't really give a fuck. You really don't. So embrace that. Again, as best as you can. But the strength in numbers dynamic is where we can have a conversation. We can joke about it. We can talk about Suzanne's fucking beaver and, you know, eating death ass and all this other crazy type of stuff.
Like Assassin Queens.
Like Assassin Queens or whatever the case may be. But we change the dynamic of the energy. Now it's not just this, ooh, you know, cowering in fear, Grim Reaper, you know what I mean? We're making light of it. We're changing the face. We're putting different masks on it to suit, in this case tonight, you know, to really give a slice of the other side, to open the door to other perspectives. And as always, if it makes one person laugh, if it makes one person not feel disconnected or lonely or any number of elements, or if you're Suzanne's case, if it makes you really horny and you go do something that you probably shouldn't do, you bad girl, that's great too. You know what I mean? So, but this is real magic, okay? There's other magic.
Gia and I are just going to sit in the corner reading Lady Death comics.
Well, Gia, and I suppose I should really throw this out here, because I think it's relevant. It's just going to be like a little tease. Gia is one of the people who will be involved with the music project.
Yes.
So we don't have a title for Gia yet. Oh,
I do.
But trust me, she's a witch too. Ironically, for a fucking wolf, I just continually seem to find myself surrounded by fucking witches.
I have a title for Gia.
You have a title for Gia already? Uh-oh.
I do. Star Lady.
Star Lady?
Yes.
That seems rather tame for her.
No.
Okay, never mind. Save it. Hey, crime time, wine time. Good to see you. I know better. I already know that I do not want to open that door yet. Okay? I just felt it, like the hairs on the back of my neck just stood up. I felt like, okay, no, fuck this. I'm in the Amityville house. There's bad juju here.
It has to do. It has to do with her love for astrology and her ability to get out there and shine.
That just sounds way too tame. Yeah. She says it's kind of tame, though. Yeah, just saying. Yeah.
That's
private, cool. Listen,
that's private reading. I have another reason for it, too.
Well, all right. Well, I'm sure. Shiya, just so you know, prepare, yourself. You will end up with some type of moniker or, element. Yeah, we flock together. I get it, Suzanne.
Yeah.
Listen, we do it out of love. We do it, again, in fun and stuff like that. So.
Namaste, witches.
Simplest ways you can adopt whatever, dynamic suits to you. You know what I mean? Obviously, for reasons that we will leave unsaid, I will never look at you in the angel of the Lady Death context. That ain't happening. I'm sorry, okay? It's not personal. I'm just smarter than that, okay? So, I'm not even going there.
You're a werewolf.
I'm a werewolf. That's correct, okay? But also, too, if I'm going to be blunt honest, it's out of respect. You are a friend, so not going to put you into that fucking analogy. Not going to happen. At least not today. Maybe tomorrow.
Next week?
That's what I used to say about Suzanne. Now Suzanne throws her beaver at me all the time. So it's like, hey, what the fuck am I going to do about it? And it's kind of hard when I got the witch sitting next to me encouraging. It's like, Ted, do it more. Do it more. Yeah, I'm just like, really?
Yes.
Like, fuck.
Well, you expect me to hold back? I'm the cheeky witch of the house.
I know. It's
you expect me not to be a cheeky witch. Why? I mean, we're almost 2 years into this.
For those of you who wonder why I am the way I am.
Oh, yeah. I've totally changed you.
No, listen, in fairness, and again, if we're going to be honest about it, you were the one who kind of basically unlocked the door and said, please come out, stop hiding from the world.
Yeah.
Because that's really what I was doing.
I know.
Yeah. Now, if we're going to really tell the truth, this bitch came in, get the fuck out of that. And I was just like, what?
Our first date, I did it to you.
Yeah. Walking up to interact with random junkies is usually a trigger for me.
We were for a lift, and yeah, I mean, it was something to do, and I wanted you to see my nature.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, you knew exactly who I was when you get into this.
Oh, no. You said yes, Mommy.
Yes, Mommy.
All right, fuck you, sister. I see how this is going now. See, I'm all trying to play nice and stuff. Now we had to escalate it. See, that Brooklyn thing's gonna come out now.
I have told you that you can tell me what to do.
Forget about it. Forget about it. You do this, you won't do this. Don't do this, because if you do this, it's gonna happen again.
You talking to me?
I'm talking to you.
Talking to me?
Oh, you know I'm talking to you.
You say hello to friend.
Hey, don't even try. No, see, that is a fucking corruption.
Yes.
You know this.
Cheeky witch.
She knows. She has little things.
I do it on purpose. It's kind of
like, and again, I come from my mother's Italian, so
kind of like
I have a little bit of that Brooklyn thing in me and stuff. So we'll be fucking around. My son speaks Italian, so we're fucking around, and then all of a sudden she just pulls this fucking guttural Mexican, and it's just like, it's like, would you like, how about some meatball tacos? I'm like, fuck you, it's Italian, get the fuck away from me.
No, it's kind of like, when you're all involved in the Star Wars universe, you make sure that you get
when you do like the Star Trek fucking...
the proper greeting, like live long and prosper.
Oh, fuck you. Yes. Welcome to my world.
I'm amused.
So yes, we have a lot of things coming down the pike. I have some really... No, listen, stop. You know what? You can go to your room now.
Oh, okay.
All right? You're beached. You're beached. We got some really, really wild stuff coming down the pike. I have several different people that will be coming on for direct kind of podcast interview conversations. We've met some really interesting people on our journey, and there have been a few people who I've wanted to, as we kind of build on this format and we expand on things. The podcast will be going onto a couple of other platforms. However, it will not be the kind of thing where they will be able to interact as we do. So those of you who are and have been part of this will be able to continue to, but the podcast obviously, will be going to other places. But that being said, also too, it will remain open. I'm not doing any type of advertising shit. I'm not doing any of that sponsorship shit. It's going to stay open. It's going to stay organic. It's going to continue to be what it is. But as I have said before, and I will continue to say ad nauseum, I really appreciate, and it gives me strength and energy, your stories, your perceptions, your hopes, your dreams, your beavers, whatever the case may be. So please send us your ideas if you want to come on the podcast. Any context, again, within reason. wolf@oldwolfmusic.com. Truly, because that is the heart of Strength in Numbers. What we do and who we share it with reflects these dynamics. So we're going to close out tonight. I think. What are we going to close out with? Let me think about this.
Honestly?
Yes, honestly. I'm gonna go to this one, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. This is one of the tracks that we did, and again in the framework. Yes, in this new music, Shiya will be singing more.
Yes.
It'll be a little bit different incarnation of Shiya and Shiya
that you have not seen.
and dynamics of things. We don't want to give too much away, but yes. A lot of new stuff coming down the pike. New faces, old faces. Gonna have some interesting conversations about our trip to New Orleans and some of the people that we met. And then, other, dynamics depending upon how things spin out in the world. You know what I mean? Hey, as long as we all wake up tomorrow, then there's hope. And I have hope that there will be a tomorrow, and there'll be a day after tomorrow, and probably, a couple of days after that. Oh, yeah, she's got the little emoticon. Guitar. Wah, wah, wah. Wah, 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 wah. So, yeah, a lot of cool stuff coming down the pike. A lot of great people. And as always, like I said, you want to get involved, please just send us an email. This is unique in the dynamic that I believe, truly believe, that our experiences are precious. They are the very definition, really, of magic many times, and the things that we go through, how we feel, and then how we translate those dynamics, again, regardless of the context of sexuality or death or love, whatever the case may be. This is what works. This is what gives us the ability to go out into the rest of the world and do the things and go through the shit that we have to go through. So that way it isn't just a fucking monotonous, automated, you know what I mean? Where, life is for living. So we should live it together, and we should have a good time with it. So we're going to close out with Her Desperate Mind with Shiya on vocals. And we will be back next week. Shiya will be on
What the Fuck Wednesday, tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And for Mentorship Circle members, come with your questions, because Mentorship Circle Monday has moved to Wednesday this week. So
yeah, Halloween fucked that up.
Yeah, no, we had fun on Halloween.
Yeah, no, I saw you guys, We were believe it.
Believe it!
So until next time, thank you all. Know that you are loved. Love each other. And
make love, not war.
Yes, embrace Lady Death. She's waiting for you. This thing still on? Hey, what the fuck are you still doing here, man? Show's over. No, really, seriously. Go home. No, I'm not joking. Do I look like I'm joking? Come on, man, really, seriously. Get the fuck out of here. Love ya.